instead of having a focus at the European Union level on the protection of Roma, as it is claimed and mentioned in some of the EU documents or OSCE documents, we've reached a point where some are actually trying to use bold statements and claim that Roma themselves as a people constitute a sort of a threat or a security threat for Europe. And that's not only unwise, and obviously it doesn't serve the interest of the Roma community, but it's also dangerous. Throughout our history, we've been known to not having posed or be perceived to have posed such a threat to the societies in which we lived. And suddenly, this shift comes without substantiating any hard evidence, and actually it plays along the rhetoric of the extremists and of the radicals. It's not new and it's not unusual that far-right groups or parties are using this rhetoric, trying to portray the Roma community as being a inherently deviant one and a criminal one. And actually, not to go further, Magyar Garda and Jobbik Hungarian party, they inserted this terminology and wording in their political platforms, yeah, where they are constituted, or their mission is to fight the so-called gypsy criminality. Yeah, so of course, never with bringing compelling arguments to demonstrate that this is the case, but nevertheless having a great degree of sympathy among large segments of the populations. Yeah, and that's very worrying. It was always exploited and capitalized, especially prior and during political campaigns and elections. And yeah, that's not new. It's dangerous, but it's not new. And we knew who these actors are, but to have such a discourse that the Roma exclusion somehow is suddenly weaponized by Roma for Europe Foundation to claim that if you don't care of the inclusion of Roma, then you can expect that Roma will rebel and there will be no peace in those societies where they live. This is crazy, and it's opportunistic. Yeah, I understand the need for such foundations to be bold, but you have to choose with the kind of things you want to be bold. You cannot just throw stupidities that endanger our community as a whole. This is a sensitive situation with the potential of escalation of conflict or expansion of conflict. I would not automatically call the whole Eastern Europe as a buffer zone, as a dangerous one. I mean, part of the Eastern Europe is part of NATO, so I think NATO is important to consider in this regard. So any state that is targeted by aggression from Russia has the back of NATO. And I think that's also the biggest deterrent for the Russians to consider any move beyond Ukraine. I think it is unfortunate, and I think it's also dangerous, that a foundation like Roma Foundation for Europe, which claims to be a sort of a voice of Roma in Europe, is putting out messages that are obviously not consulted with any other activists outside their bubble, and therefore they are claiming that there is a significant support and consensus beyond those ideas that they are putting forward. And the danger is also that there is literally or virtually uh, no one out there strong enough and visible enough as an alternative, and mass media or the mainstream is accepting these kind of messages as sort of legitimate, or if not legitimate, at least coming as an expression of the community, and that's always dangerous. And there is only one way to deal with this and try to balance this risk is open confrontation. I've said it always, and if we don't build a sort of a voice to not only in letters, which are also important, and formal letters or positions expressed on social media and so on, but including in meetings whenever they are present, and some of us is there, we have to challenge this and even denounce some of the things that we definitely disagree with, and because otherwise they have their agenda, they have the resources, they have leverage, not as us or others, and they go ahead. So that's one point. The other one would be, I think it's important to follow up and actually get the proper response from to the letter, and then have a sort of analysis of the outputs, of the outcome of the entire process, and maybe a reflection again in written or a public statement or a discussion, a live mainstream discussion about this. These are the tools. We don't have many, few leverages that we have. I think we have to continue to try and use them, even if we know they may not yield big results, but it's part of the game. These are the tools, the mechanisms. At least we have to exhaust them and use them so that we can show anytime that we use the legal and policy frameworks and mechanisms to their exhaustion, and they cannot say, "Oh, but you're just rebelling, and you are very vocal in social media, but actually you don't engage properly and adequately to use the legal means and the legal proceedings or the policy proceedings," because they will do that uh, to show that we are only looking for likes, perhaps, and hearts on social media, but we don't take the time to do the hard work. We don't have many resources, but these are the ones we can use our brains in this kind of ways, and always expose as efficiently as possible the kind of things that we believe they are counter to the interest of the community or even dangerous, be them as performed or perpetrated by non-Roma, but also by our Roma, unfortunately.